Welcome back to video 2. We're going to read pages 8 through 13 in our magazine, The Constitution. If you don't already have your magazine, please go get it so you can follow along. We'll turn right to page 8. To ratify or not to ratify. The new Constitution was sent to the states, and each state was expected to call a convention. There, delegates would vote to ratify or not to ratify. Then the real debate began. That means to accept the Constitution or not. Those who supported the Constitution were called Federalists. Federal refers to a central or national government. They thought the country would do better with a stronger central government. Those who were opposed to this idea were called Anti-Federalists. There were many reasons people were against the Constitution. Some thought a central government wouldn't care about local issues. Some said it would overwhelm the states and take away the people's rights. Some feared the government would be taken over by the few and the great, as one delegate said. Some said the president would have too much power. Some said the slavery clauses were immoral. The strongest argument against the document was that it did not state the rights of the people. So let's go up here to this image. Today, groups express their opinions on TV, social media, and the internet. Before radio was developed in the early 20th century, people depended on ink and paper or public speeches. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and John Jay wrote 85 essays in favor of the Constitution called the Federalist Papers. Others wrote essays and letters in opposition. So instead of making a YouTube video I want to post it on Instagram, I had to write a whole essay and get it printed on a printing press. Bottom of page 8 here. 3 states, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, quickly ratified, said yes to the Constitution. Georgia and Connecticut soon followed. The smaller states saw the advantage of strength in numbers. Connecticut and New Jersey had been angered by New York's taxes on the goods they sold there and hoped the new government would bring tax relief. Georgia wanted help from the new government to protect its frontier from attack from Native Americans. And this photo right here has a caption over here. Anti-Federalists in Massachusetts included John Hancock, left, and Samuel Adams, heroes of the Revolution. To win them over, Federalists promised to push for a Bill of Rights once the Constitution was ratified. So the Federalists said, hey guys, say yes to the Constitution, then we promise to create something called the Bill of Rights to make you happy. Over here, Maryland and South Carolina voted to ratify in the spring of 1788, but New Hampshire had a hard time deciding. Some delegates were opposed because the Constitution did not end slavery. Finally, in June 1788, New Hampshire became the 9th state to ratify. The Constitution went into effect for those 9 states. The Union was established. Up here on page 9. Even though 9 states had ratified, 2 of the most powerful states had not. Many wondered if the country could survive without New York and Virginia. In Virginia, Patrick Henry and other heroes of the Revolution spoke against the Constitution. They thought it needed a Bill of Rights. The state finally ratified in June 1788. The New York Convention had a majority of anti-Federalists. Many New Yorkers believed the Union would not succeed without Virginia. Alexander Hamilton was a powerful voice for the ratification. When Virginia ratified, New York gave in. On July 26, 1788, New York became the 11th state to ratify, to say, yes, we agree to the Constitution. And this photo down here The last two holdouts were North Carolina and Rhode Island. Two conventions in North Carolina failed to ratify. Then, in November 1789, North Carolina ratified. Rhode Island voted 7 times against sending the Constitution to a state convention. In May 1790, Rhode Island, the smallest state, joined the Union. That was more than a year after George Washington had taken office as the first president. So George Washington was already the president of the states that said yes, and then finally Rhode Island joined. Very interesting. Let's turn to pages 10 and 11. We have this beautiful photo of the American flag. It says, "The power of music. Symbols, or images that represent other things, and music have great power to influence people. The Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem, is a song about the most recognizable symbol of the United States, the American flag. The forceful, soaring music supports the meaning of the lyrics, or words. They talk about the American ideal of freedom and about bravery and defending freedom. When people see the flag and hear the music, they think of those things the United States stands for." I am not going to sing this, but I will read it. "Oh, say, can you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave?" Sorry, I'm not a good singer, y'all. And pages 12 and 13. The Bill of Rights. We have the Constitution, so now we're going to learn about the Bill of Rights. Some states insisted that a list of basic citizens' rights be added to the Constitution. James Madison wrote up the most important ideas, and Congress sent 12 of these to the states. 10 were approved. In 1791, they became the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. They're called the Bill of Rights. First one, people have freedom of speech and of press. They have the right to gather peacefully. They have the right to appeal to the government if they feel something wrong is happening. Freedom of religion is also guaranteed. People can worship as they please or not at all, and the government cannot promote religion." So this wasn't a right to us American citizens until it was written down. The Second Amendment, the Second Bill of Rights. People have the right to own and carry weapons. This amendment has caused much debate. Some argue that it applies mostly to militias or organized armed forces. Others say it means there should be no restrictions on owning guns. Some gun control laws are allowed. These protect citizens from those who would use guns for crimes. The Third and Fourth Amendments. The Third Amendment says the government cannot force people to keep soldiers in their homes. This suggests that citizens have a right to privacy. The Fourth Amendment says the government cannot conduct unreasonable searches of people or their property. Fifth through Eighth Amendments. The Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, and Eighth Amendments describe the right to due process of law, or fair treatment in the legal system. People can't be tried for a federal crime unless a grand jury, a chosen group of ordinary citizens, agrees there's enough evidence. People can't be charged twice for the same crime or forced to testify against themselves. The accused have the right to a speedy, fair, public trial in front of a jury, and to be represented by a lawyer. A judge can't overturn a jury's decision, and punishments can't be cruel or unusual. So here you have a jury in a court. These are the people that are listening to the evidence, listening to the lawyers on both sides, and they get to decide if a person is innocent or guilty. These are the ordinary citizens. This is our duty as American citizens. I have actually served on a jury before to decide if our fellow citizens are guilty or not. The 9th and 10th Amendments. The 9th Amendment the 9th Amendment says people have rights other than those mentioned in the Constitution, while the 10th says the federal government can do only what's in the Constitution. It reserves for the states and the people's rights not granted to the federal government. I have rights, I have rights, I have rights. What's left for me, that's what the dog says. And page 13, the responsibilities of citizens. We have responsibilities. Right here. And American citizens have many rights. We just learned about them. But they also have the responsibility to work together to make the country better for everyone. There are many ways to do this. People have to obey laws, serve on juries, and pay taxes to help fund services the government provides. Like schools, we pay taxes, which gives us school. Women and men can join the armed forces. Men must register for the military draft when they turn 18. I don't know if you're familiar with the draft. We haven't had a draft in a while, but men have to sign up for it so that just in case the country needs more people in the military, they can call on you and you are legally obliged, you're legally expected to join the military because the country needs you. I know we had one during the Vietnam War. In this photo, one of the most important things a citizen can do is to vote in elections. People can vote for candidates on local, state, and national levels. So that's like voting in Kennewick, voting in Washington, and then voting for the United States. This is how the government learns what the people want. And it's how the people decide who will represent them in government. Who are we going to send to the Senate and the House of Representatives? In this way, the government gets its power from the people. People can also contact their representatives and give their opinions about what's important to them. Do you know that? You can send them an email, you can call their office. They are here for us. The American's Creed. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. In this photo here, if a person is born in the United States, he or she is automatically an American citizen. People who are born elsewhere can apply to become US citizens if they meet certain standards. They must also learn about American history and government and learn the English language. Citizenship is given to these people during events called naturalization ceremonies. The American's Creed is often recited during these ceremonies. So people from other countries move here for various reasons. They have to learn about our history, they have to learn English, they have to pass a test. And then there's a whole ceremony called the naturalization ceremony. They become US citizens, even though they were not born here. That's the end of video 2, my friends. We learned all about the Bill of Rights. Heard me read and not sing the national anthem. And we learned about how the states decided to adopt or ratify the Constitution. Come back for video 3, please. I'll see you soon.